Welcome or welcome back. My name is Nadia of Nadia Reads and Writes. I wrote it, now I'm reading it. It's Reads and Writes because saying writes and reads was just way too frickin' awkward. I'm the author of this work. This is the Irregulars. If you've been here before, you've already been through the first four chapters. Can't count, can I? This is book 2, The Irregulars of my Northwest Uprising series. If you're brand new here, fair warning, there is a whole nother book before this, The Rebels. I will drop the playlist for that down below. And another little warning, I don't edit anything in here because I'm reading this out loud for a friend of mine who needs to have audiobooks. But since I can't afford audiobooks, I'm reading them. And I leave the mistakes in because she thinks it's funny. There's no accounting for taste. So, without further ado, this is Chapter 5 of The Irregulars, Book 2 of the Northwest Uprising Trilogy. I groaned, shifting uncomfortably. Grumbling, I tried to figure out where the hell... Oh, right. I sat down on the couch for a minute in the common room. Must have fallen asleep. All the late nights prepping vehicles to survive a couple months of use, plus all the planning, were taking their toll on me. I tugged irritably at my collar, flinging off the blanket in the process. The wash of cool air hit me like a soothing balm. Cracking my eyes open, I made out Sirius and Dereva talking to Archangel at the next table over. Pushing upright, fire lanced from my shoulder, down my shoulder blade, along the spine, and all the way up, through my neck and into my skull. I froze, gasping until the pain eased. When I could see again, all three of them watched me with concern. Archangel had already risen, and he knelt next to me, helping me get upright. "You are not okay," he said firmly. "I didn't say I was," I grumbled. "You were about to." I glared at him, shoving a hank of hair back. "It's nothing a good massage couldn't fix." "Probably." You could use more sleep, too," Sirius said. "You look like shit." "Pot, kettle." "Ha! I'd have to stay awake for 3 days to look as bad as you." The ache started up again, and I supported my right elbow with my left hand. Archangel, the perceptive bastard, saw it. "Not only do you need a massage, you're getting one, and physio. Or else," he held up a hand to forestall my protests, his voice hard, "you're going to be a liability in the field." I got way too much to do. I pressed back into the couch, even though he hadn't made a move towards me. Besides, it's been plaguing me for ages and it hasn't stopped me yet. I looked frantically around, hoping Sirius or Dereva would rescue me. My cousin just folded her arms and shook her head. Dereva wouldn't even look at me. "Traitors," I accused. "I've never seen you support your shoulder before." Archangel was implacable. "Come on, we're going to see Doc. Maybe there's someone here who specializes in acupuncture. Barring that, I've spent some time in PT. I'll work on you if I have to." "Oh, gee, thanks," I muttered as he pulled me off a couch. "Don't lay those compliments on too thick. You might turn my head." He stepped aside to let me pass and dropped a large, warm hand on my shoulder, pressing firmly with his thumb. I gasped, pain flaring hotly. It subsided almost as quickly, a breath of relief, and I moaned involuntarily. "Okay," I mumbled. "Maybe you're hired. On probation." He chuckled and squeezed again. "That's the spirit." After a round of what Archangel called a sports massage, and I called torture, the following day, I sat in the common room, maps spread on the table, a cup of tea at my elbow. I rolled my head around, rotating my shoulder. Damn the man, but he was good. It hurt like hell in the moment, but after a few exercises Doc prescribed, my shoulder felt better than it had in months. Archangel's hands running over my bare shoulder and down my spine flashed across my mind, distracting me from my work. Wrenching my attention, I went back to the task at hand, studying maps. Committing chunks of map to memory wasn't easy, and unfortunately, my favorite TV show walked in before I'd gotten very far. Phoenix entered first, marching to another table, laying her guns and cleaning supplies out. Griffin sauntered in after her, casually walking around the place before accidentally finding himself in her vicinity. I kept one eye on them and held my breath so I wouldn't miss anything. They started out with quiet chit-chat, all very boring except for their goofy smiles and giggles. Then Griffin sat down as coolly as if he hadn't just spent the last 10 minutes setting this up, until he put his gigantic foot in his mouth. Why is it I always hear about women having a go at each other, backbiting and all that rubbish, but here, in the largest female-to-male percentage I've ever bloody seen, there's none of that? I snorted into my tea. He went there? What did he want? World War III? Oh wait, we're already living that. Phoenix rolled her eyes, sniggering. Seriously? Well, it's always on American shows, you know. I just figured different cultures because English girls aren't like that, but it's what you see, innit? Women are women, and when there's men around who don't treat us nicely, we'll put aside any and all differences we might have to gang up on the bastards. It's scientifically proven. She smiled beatifically. Shaking my head, I huffed a tiny laugh. Damn good job, that. She'd managed to stop a dangerous topic of conversation and divert him. I could only wish I'd be as smooth someday. Griffin grinned back at her, completely besotted. No, it's not. Is it? I bit my lip, struggling to keep the laugh from escaping. Is this what being a balloon feels like? A whole bunch of air struggling to escape, barely held in? Their pause lasted so long I had to breathe or risk spotty vision. Couldn't let anything spoil the view of my favorite daytime romantic drama. Her lips parted. He leaned in slightly, and I lost the battle with my mouth. Would you two get a room already? I heckled. You're making me sweat. Phoenix whipped around, her eyes narrowing murderously as she slammed the bolt home on her rifle, threat implicit in every movement. Snatching up my mug and maps, I ran for the door, laughing like a madwoman. Preparations for the winter campaign kept the entire lair in a flurry of activity, broken only once when I was called home to deal with an ex-politician. I took Phoenix and Sirius with me because they tend to get into too much trouble if I leave them behind. Oh, and Eleanor made me. Home was set high in the mountains in the Jefferson Wilderness. I'd never seen it in winter snow, and we stepped carefully, lifting our knees high, snowshoes strapped to our feet. The trees around the mountain grew thick, only thinning out in the higher altitudes. In the summer, the land was green and gold, but the winter... Oh, the winter. Snow-covered evergreens made a gorgeous backdrop, the area around their trunks treacherous with snow pits. The messenger from home only said that Sophie, Oregon's sole surviving career politician, was stirring up trouble, causing problems best handled by me. Olivia and her husband Sam ran the place, though their main duties were ensuring that all the children had a safe, home-like environment. Their secondary ones were ensuring that all the necessary chores were done. I paused, looking at the low entrance. I still found it hard to believe Sirius had even found the place, considering the cave mouth was small and hidden by a jumble of rocks. I guess that's what rabbit hunting can do for you. Sighing, I bellied onto the cold ground, worming my way forward. No sooner did I set foot on the floor of the extensive cave network than a woman in her 50s ambushed me. Sophie, a politician to her core, didn't know when to shut up. You should have someone in charge who understands how people think and knows what they want, she said, scuttling through the first cavern of home after me. I had no idea how far the system went, but Olivia said they were working to widen smaller passageways to create more space. She planned on having enough space to fit hundreds of people, maybe even 1,000. This first cave was the largest, 30 feet high and 60 long. All around the edges, families carved space into alcoves, blankets covering the openings for privacy and warmth. No, I breathed deeply. Sophie tried being the intermediary between the useless room meetings and the civilians, but that ended due to her idiotic attempts at taking control and her penchant for incendiary talk that nearly caused a riot. I should have someone in charge who knows what people need and who cares about them, which we do. And everyone except you and your 3 cronies agrees with me. Or they would if you'd shut up for 5 minutes. The rope ladder shook when Sirius climbed the 10 feet down to the cave floor, closely followed by Phoenix. They were mobbed by children who appeared as if by magic, laughing and grabbing their hands, dragging them away. Phoenix waved, grinning. Sirius shot me a panicked look, her eyes wide, mouth open in a silent no. Sophie's harangue never stopped. Listening to her was useless. It all boiled down to, Olivia's incompetent and I should be in charge. I had to give the woman credit for ignoring an insult for the sake of getting her way, but I'd seen her in control of civilians, and an innocent woman was nearly hanged for self-defense while 3 rapists would have gotten off scot-free. Captain! A high-pitched shriek split the air and cut off that infernal woman. A second later, a tiny human cannonball collided with my legs. You're back! Little cub! I swung the girl up in my arms, grunting with the effort. You've gotten so big! What are they feeding you? Cub and her sister, Moana, had run away from the North American Liberation Corps, or Dorothy as we called them, with their mother. We'd found them on their first night away, during our first trip into Salem. Their mother, Leo, had died in the escape, so we'd all adopted them. The little girl giggled at my theatrics. You're silly. I eat deer and sheep milk and potatoes and mushrooms. Wow, I nuzzled her downy blonde hair. You eat better than me. You could stay here. She looked up at me, her blue eyes beseeching. I don't like her very much, Cub whispered loudly, looking directly at Sophie, her warm, moist breath puffing the hair around my ear. I snickered while Sophie sputtered. Apparently, her tolerance for being insulted ended with toddlers. I wish I could, baby, but then who would kick the bad guys out? She stuck her lower lip out and wrapped her arms around my neck. Her preference for me never ceased to amaze me. Too many people refused to look at me directly or avoided me altogether, but this little girl liked me better than almost anyone else. It made me think that all the blood on my hands might be washed away someday. Where's Olivia? I asked Cub. In the mushroom room. She giggled. Mushroom room, she repeated softly several times, savoring the words. Numerous small caves and tunnels opened off the main cave. And which one is that? That one, silly. The little girl pointed to a low, roughly oval tunnel topped with a broad ledge covered with used candles. Are there any other tunnels inside? Nope. She stroked my hair, fascinated with it. Do you want to hang out with Sirius and Phoenix? I think the kids are feeding them. They were. A little boy sat on Phoenix's lap, holding a piece of meat to her lips. No matter how she tried to avoid it, the boy tracked her, determined to feed the woman. Sirius had it worse. She was pinned to the ground, 2 kids sitting on her chest, one of them trying to push food past her lips. Cub squealed, and I let her slide down my side. The moment her feet touched the ground, she hugged my legs and rocketed over to join the others in force-feeding my people. Adults lounged around, watching the kids indulgently, done with their work for the day and enjoying the entertainment. Sophie backed away. Well, then I guess I'll let you. I grabbed her arm. You can come with me. I want to get this sorted ASAP. You interrupted my fun. Captain, she squealed, are you even doing anything for these good people? Having fun? Sophie? I made a fist and relaxed. Taking a deep breath didn't help. Neither did the 2 after that. Taking one of the candles, I lit it with the fire starter I kept in one of the pouches hanging from my belt. I felt stupid wearing one, but this meant I could carry more than my pockets could hold without always needing a backpack. Just shut up and follow me. I ducked into the tunnel, the stub of a candle barely lighting my way. Scuffling behind let me know exactly where Sophie was. Maybe this meant she was finally taking responsibility for her asinine behavior. One could only hope. The flickering candle made monsters with the shadows, obscuring almost as much as it revealed. The tunnel was low enough it forced me to hunch over. Pain flared in my neck and shoulder, but nowhere near as bad as it was before I got regular massages. Twice I scraped my head on the ceiling. Then the uncertain light revealed a rising ceiling. I straightened cautiously, stretching and rolling my head. The blow came suddenly, catching me over my right ear. It knocked me forward and I dropped the candle, my head automatically tucking as I fell into a roll. Sophie screeched and my legs and back thumped into the wall, finding every jutting point on it in the process. Sophie stood over my upside-down self, a rock in hand, face white, lips drawn in a rictus of a grin. She rushed in, screeching again, the rock raised high. I fell left, pushing into an awkward roll, landing on my belly. She struck the rock bare inches from my face. Lunging, I slammed into the smaller woman. Her shrieks filled the small tunnel as we hit the ground, Sophie on the bottom. "She tried to kill me!" Sophie yelled. Olivia had heard the fight and come running just in time to see me sitting on Sophie, one hand pressing her head to keep the bitch from biting me. Now we were back in the main cavern with a nice audience. I got up and stood away from Sophie, next to Olivia and her husband Sam. They were good people, and almost everyone here knew it. I'd only met Olivia a few times. The first was when we went into Salem to meet her mother, and accidentally ended up recruiting her mom into spying for us. The next time I saw Olivia, she'd been taken and locked in a closet in an effort to break her. It hadn't worked. When we'd opened the door, she tried to kick Phoenix in the crotch. Olivia watched Sophie with a judgmental eye. "So, who should tell her that if Captain wanted her dead, she would be?" Her sour expression was belied by the spark of laughter in her eyes. The woman was enjoying this! Sam merely sighed. Olivia, from what I could tell, had always been acerbic, and her captivity hadn't changed that one bit. "It's your turn to deal with her." "Excuse you?" Olivia set her hands firmly on her hips. "I'm the one who got her out here. Now it's your turn." "I'll sort her out," I said before this could degenerate any further. "It's why you called me up here, isn't it?" "Oh!" Olivia stopped me with a raised finger. "Quick note! If she gives you too much trouble, we can call it her third strike and banish her in the spring." Sam covered his eyes and groaned. "What?" She shrugged. "I can hope." I would have thought a murder attempt would be enough to banish someone. Phoenix had come up on us unnoticed. Sam snorted. "Normally, yes. But since it's Captain, I'm fairly sure you have to be more competent than that for it to count." "Hey!" I protested. "I'm people too!" But Phoenix nodded as if that made perfect sense. "Good point. How do you want to handle her?" she asked me. I shrugged. "Fuck if I know. I figured I'd just put the fear of me into her." She nodded again. "Good idea. Can I help?" "If you want. Play with a knife or something." Sorting Sophie really meant shouting over her, looming slightly, and a bunch of thinly veiled threats. Phoenix lounged behind me, and I had a good idea of what she was doing based on how green Sophie and her friends turned. By the time we were done, Sophie slinked out of the cave, and the lump over my ear throbbed badly enough that all I wanted was to lie down and sleep. But Olivia wouldn't let me. "You might have a concussion." "What's a concussion even look like?" I asked irritably. "I don't know." She rolled her eyes. "But you got hit on the head, so you might have one. You can't sleep because you might not wake up." "Then you can't sleep. If you leave me alone, I'm totally taking a nap, and I don't care if I never wake up." Olivia snarled quietly, suddenly furious. "Don't be such a baby, and don't you dare joke about dying in here. The kids might hear you, and as far as they're concerned, you're Batman or Superman. I'm not sure what Moana and Cub have told them about you today. You're their hero." "Oh." Sirius wandered by, leading a train of kids. "You tell her what we brought?" I smiled slowly at Olivia, who suddenly looked trapped. "What did you bring?" "Books on sheep care, wool, yarn, spinning, shears, and some drop spindles that Dry Eyes made from drawings. Good luck learning how to use them." Rather than alarm, Olivia looked intrigued at the thought. They had several ewes in a single ram. Using them for meat was a last resort, since they produced so much else that people needed. Mostly wool. Since I couldn't sleep yet, Olivia decided to feed me. Phoenix and Sirius sat with us, and Sam joined as soon as the kids were tucked in bed. Cub was right. The food at home was excellent. Simple, but fresh and good. "I don't know how I feel about sheep's milk." Phoenix sipped it experimentally. Her sleeve slipped back when she raised her hand, revealing her inner wrist. "Whoa! Wait, what?" Olivia snatched her hand, spilling some of the milk. "When did you get this?" She shoved the sleeve back farther to show an A+ tattooed on Phoenix's wrist. It's been a couple of months, I think, Phoenix said. One of the girls does tattoos and she found some ink. Did it hurt? Why an A plus? Seems like a weird tattoo to get. It hurt a bit, Phoenix admitted, and it doesn't mean A plus, it's A positive, my blood type. I pulled back my sleeve so they could see the O positive I sported. Siri showed her wrist too. Doc asked us to get them, I said. We've all got them at the same spot so she can find our types easier. Not everyone has one yet, Phoenix continued. Some people don't know their type. She's trying to find more stuff so she can test the rest. I laughed quietly. My first and currently only tattoo, and it's for my blood type, which I can live with. My problem is Anansi got a tattoo. Like a real one, not just his blood type. Why is that a problem? Olivia shook her head. You go out and fight, and you're worried about a kid getting a tattoo? You really need to get your priorities straight. He's only 14 or so, and you haven't met his mother. She's going to kill me. Olivia burst into laughter. Genuine, head thrown back, unrestrained laughter. Sam watched her, drinking in her joy as if she were water in a desert. I'll come to your funeral, she gasped when she could breathe again. Oh, thank you so much. That's such a comfort. Thank you. All right. That ends chapter 5. Thank you very much for joining me today. And I will be back again next week with chapter 6. If you enjoyed this, do please like, comment, let me know what part of it you enjoyed. Subscribe or consider sharing it. Every little thing helps the channel grow, and I am a small author. So anything to help get the word out about my books is greatly appreciated. And I will see you next week.